Yeah, it's the same question I asked Dan is what are they doing? And I took the time to go around and find out what were the wealthy people doing. And here's what I learned. They learned how to invest their own money into the stock market. Now, with the advent of the computer, it's a lot easier for us to access that market. When I
Right.
first started this in the late 80s, it was, and I had to call my broker, and it was really difficult to see the market, understand the market, get trained on the market. Today, there's really no excuse. If you don't know how to trade your own money into the market, it's simply because you haven't looked into it.
Right. So let's take a quick look at just one option by trading in the market, and let me just hit a button here. So what we did here is we took that CD, the IRA, the 401k, and the savings, and we said, okay, same $10,000. We're going to make this chart, and we're showing you exactly what you're going to make off that. Now, if you were to invest in the Forex stock market, and which is the foreign exchange market, and David, you're going to talk about that in a little bit. But what I want to show the people is in that same 1 year, $18,000 in interest or in profits was earned with that same $10,000 investment. And Patti,
I have to say on this one, I looked at these, and the IRA and the 401k really surprised me that you only make $700. That really surprised me. But it was even more surprising that people are able to make $18,000 in the Forex market. And I actually had to fact check it. And I got to tell you, it was wrong. There's actually more money that was made. These guys just rounded it to $18,000.
Right.
But I found it very hard to believe. Now, here's my question, though, and this is what I had asked David that I'd like you to share. I don't know how to trade. I don't know the first thing about it. I've never seen it, never done it. So, is this type of trading something that, that somebody like me can do? I'm a school teacher.
Right. And here's what surprised me and surprises people when I talk to them about, especially in the class. I'm teaching 18 to 24-year-olds how to invest. But think about this. I'm telling them, hey, let's go to the Forex market. They don't know what the Forex market is, but I'm saying, you know what? It's easy and affordable. That surprised me. That surprises them. So now that doesn't mean they believe me, but let me give you just the definition of Forex. It's actually, let me read it. It's short for foreign exchange market, which is the currency market worldwide. It's the global market for trading currencies. Now, what that means is that each currency goes up and down in any given country. And we compare one country to the other country. Let's suppose we compare the Japanese to the American dollar. And depending on the ratios, you can make money on that difference. Now, that doesn't mean you know how to do it right now, but what I have learned is it is easy and affordable to learn how to do that. And that's the message I'm trying to get across to anyone who will listen, particularly to my students, to take it into their own hands. And now with the technology I mentioned earlier about the computers, but now they can do it on their cell phone, which of course interests my students. And Dan, if you would, let me give you an example of a trade that happens on the Forex market on a cell phone. There you go. So you simply click on an icon that he downloaded from the App Store, and it happens to be, there you go. And that particular app, through a company called Telenex, gets you to this page. Now, so he downloaded, he clicks on there, and let's find one of these trades. We can look at any of them. You can see the difference one. Dan, have you got one that you want to trade on there?
let's just do the euro dollar.
Okay, so click on the euro dollars. You can see there's about 10 different ones on there, but he's going to click on the euro dollar, which he just did. And then he just simply goes down and looks at the trade. The screen comes up. Now here's something very important that I make sure my students understand, that you have to make sure when you go into a trade, you don't want to risk a lot of money. You want to make money. So before you go into a trade, you need to decide how much could I lose? And we recommend you never risk more than 1 or 2% of your portfolio on your entry point. So on any given day, I will never lose more than 10% of risk on my portfolio. So let's go in and say 1 or 2% of our portfolio and go into there. And so on the stop loss or on the profit, we set both sides. So Dan, if you would show how easy that is. Click on that stop loss, and let's set that so that we could lose maybe a couple $100 on this trade with that stop loss. And then we go to the profit, and we click on that. And there we're going to maybe win $400 or $500 if the trade goes in. Now, once I set the trade, I don't move it. I go in, I know what I'm going to do before I go into the trade, and then I set it. Now, obviously, you don't know how to trade, when to trade, why it's going to go up or down. We don't expect you to, but there are companies out there that will show you how to trade, when to trade, why to trade, and that's the service that I learned on my with my trading, and I teach my students. But this is one of those that allows you the ability to learn how to trade while you're making money. That's significant. You know, put $100, $200 into your account and see if you can make $100 turn into $200, $200 into $400. Wealth is
David,
built
that's something that, and let me just grab us back there. That's something that is probably the number one question and things that people talk to us about is, A, I don't have the money to get into the stock market. It takes a lot of money to get into the stock market and start trading. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I say, you know, that's because they hear the stories like Warren Buffett, who's got billions of dollars. But what they don't know is how much did he have when he was 20? How much did he have when he was 30? You know, he wasn't a billionaire his whole life. And so that's what I try to tell my students. Start with $100. The Forex market, for instance, allows you to start trading with as little as $100. So that's one of the reasons I use that for my students. The stock market, some of the other exchanges, you'll need to spend $2,000, which really is not a lot of money. But here's the point that I think a lot of people don't understand, and they'll say, well, you hear this saying a lot, the wealthy just get wealthier and the poor get poor. And let me tell you why, because the wealthy understand the power of leverage. The wealthy know that if I invest my own money, I could go from 100 to 200. Does it take me a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year? But they start understanding it. So when the 100 turns into 200 and 200 turns into 400, the reason the wealthy get wealthier is because eventually that turns into 10,000 and then 20,000 and 100,000, and then they're doubling 100,000 to 200,000, and pretty soon they're making $1 million into $2 million, and then we start hearing about them like we did Warren Buffett when he started learning how to turn 500 million into $1 billion and 2 billion into 4 billion, because it's the same game that he did when he turned $100 into $200. So you've got to start somewhere and learn the math, learn how to leverage your time.
Okay, so you use a big term there that everybody needs to do, learn. I punched a lot of buttons. You had me punch a lot of buttons on my iPhone, and while it was very simple to enter into that trade, you saw it was just a punch of a couple buttons. So it was very simple, but how do I get the numbers? How do I know what to do?
Exactly, and that's where the trading comes in. I took years to research. There are people out there who do sell their services, some for thousands of dollars a month, some for 100 or so. So you have to really, I don't think I worry too much about how much they charge as much as looking at their history. Have they, for the past 10 or 20 years, made good returns on their money? When I say good, I know it's going to sound strange to a lot of people. What if you could make 20, 30, and 40% on your money a year? I know that when you're used to dealing with banks and you're hearing, 5% a year would be good, or 2% on your savings would be good. I think I'm getting a 0.5% on my savings or my bank checking account. That's why I don't leave much in there. So if you really want to understand the game, understand there's people out there who are making a lot of money, and they are making that 20, 30, 40, and 50% per year. That's something you can do. You can subscribe to some of their services, and they will show you what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, so that you can just follow along, click the buttons that they tell you to do while you're learning. They explain, why is the market going to go up? Why do we think this stock is going to go up? So they explain all that to you while you're doing exactly what they're doing. That's how I learned. I'll be honest, I've been doing it 10 years now, and my first 2 years, I just followed the leader. Hey, you tell me what to do. Okay, great. Now, why did you do that? Oh, I get it. Okay, so now I don't need him anymore. 2, 3 years later, I'm saying, hey, I understand. Thanks for teaching me. It was well worth the investment to me.
And the program that we're in right now, it's like that's exactly what it is. Follow the leader, and it's so simple. It's so easy. Let me do a quick recap here. In tonight's broadcast, we talked about the money problems in the United States right now. We talked about trillions of dollars that is flowing through the economy, and we talked about the amount of debt that not just the government is racking up, but the students coming out of college are racking up, and the people themselves are racking up in that credit card debt at really, really high interest rates. You know, we talked about how people are saving money, or in our case, we talked about how people are not saving money. But for the people that are saving money, we took a look at some of the traditional ways that people can save money through CDs and the IRAs and the savings account, not good ways. And then we showed you that investing in the stock market, just not that difficult.
No.
And all it takes is a little bit of nudge, and you're right there. So you know what? I'm going to leave you with one final question. And that final question tonight for you guys is it possible for you to learn how to invest with little or no financial risk? Is it possible for you to learn how to invest with little or no financial risk? Guys, if you want to know the answer to that question, let's talk. All we have to do is talk. All it is a conversation. And I'd like to really quick thank Professor David Frost for spending your time and effort, for coming in and being with us here tonight on this live broadcast. David, we really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
And again, for my wife, Patti, the school teacher that teaches ninth graders, guys, ninth graders, and myself, Dan Hunt, I want to thank you all very much for being with us tonight and look forward to more broadcasting right here